All right, good afternoon, Hometown Realty. This is another episode of Infinity Training. I'm Deane Cheatham, and today we're going to talk about skills and building a solid foundation of skills and sort of what kind of skills you might need to be successful. And I looked at some notes that I had put together from a presentation a while back and combined these with some thoughts that I had, and I think that this could be pretty powerful. So hopefully you'll get excited about some of these things. Feel free to ask questions, and without further ado, we'll get rocking and rolling. So I wrote down sort of a preface to this whole thing, because Jake's on the thing. Preface means like words that you would do before the presentation. I just wanted Jake to understand that.
Morgan went to Bridgewater too, so you got to get her.
That hurts sometimes. So the foundation of your business has got to be your skill set, okay? And think about it. If you have no skills, then you're really never going to develop yourself into being successful. Most agents, okay, and this is from a 26-year assessment of what's going on around me and been reflecting on my own self as well. Most agents never take the time to develop the skills, never take the time to fully develop the skills. So they got to sort of finesse the business. In essence, they're sort of BSing their way through the business, okay? Your skills are going to give you the best chance for success. They're going to give you also give you the best chance to do more in less time. Okay, which is really the game here, because once you get over the hump and can start being successful, then it's a matter of everybody has 24 hours a day. How successful can I be in the time that I have, right? And most agents don't want to work. I don't want you to work 24 hours a day. Okay. So what I've sort of identified, and there I have a bonus point too, but I've sort of focused on 7 sort of components to build a strong foundation, 7 skill categories to build a strong foundation. You might want to write some of this stuff down. And again, if you wanted to watch this thing again, you'd certainly have the ability to do that. All right, so the first one, okay, and most of these, I think these are in a pretty good order. I think this if it's not number 1, it should certainly be very close to it. And I wrote down building rapport. Okay, building rapport. Does everybody have a general idea of what that means? There's a lot of definitions. I'll give you sort of a crude one. It's behaving in such a way that you're not repulsive to people that you encounter. Okay, that would be the opposite of being able to build rapport, is just having everybody think you're a total jerk and you repel everybody you encounter. Do you think you can get very far in real estate with that? No, you're not. So I wrote this down. I said, very few listings or sales will take place without rapport. Okay. You don't have to be best friends with everybody you're dealing with, but if you don't have any rapport, they're going to somebody else. Would you agree with that? Okay. So this is a tough one, and we've touched on this before. If you've taken any of the personality profile or anything like this, we've touched on this. But you have to be able to swallow your pride, put your ego up on the shelf for a minute, and realize that it's possible that you need to make some changes in who you are. Okay. That is the universal truth in real estate. And maybe not every time, but if you remember from the personality profiling class, we talk about versatility. Okay. And so sometimes you're going to encounter people that are not going to be naturally attracted, or you're not going to naturally build rapport with. Okay. So you need to develop the ability to be able to build rapport with more people and more types of people. You understand? So right now, naturally, we all have our certain amount of folks that we can just naturally sort of bond with. And that's great, but is that going to get you where you need to be? Because realistically, what percentage of the population is that? Not that many. so if you're going to be good with some, and you're going to be bad with others. So again, naturally, you're going to be able to just walk in and build rapport with some people, and then naturally, it just ain't going to be there. So you're going to have to work it. You're going to have to understand. You're going to have to make conscious mental and behavioral decisions in order to build rapport with more people. And if you can do that, it's going to open more doors for more sales. So here's a couple things to build rapport. Focus on common behaviors. And what I mean by that is rate of speech, body language, energy level, volume, emotion. So you want to, we've used these terms before, mirror and match who you're talking with. You get that? So if you look, and I'm no psychologist, I did take psychology when I was a freshman at Hampton City College. And I actually do have a master's degree. Hold on. Yeah! In, what does this say? Master of Science. That was in community and college counseling. And we did take a lot of psychology stuff there. But that isn't where I learned this. In order to, if you look at groups of people, groups of friends, all right, in many cases, they're going to have similar mannerisms. They're going to have similar rates of speech. They're going to have similar energy levels. If you look at families, they're going to have similar characteristics like that as well. So the whole idea of this thing of building rapport is everybody sort of has like, okay, can you envision a castle, right? And a castle, what is that thing called that's got the water in it that's around the castle? What do you call that? Somebody say it.
The moat.
A moat. And what is the moat designed to do?
Protect the castle from intrusion.
Yeah, keep you out, right? So everybody has the moat. And everybody especially has a moat when it comes to salespeople, because we hate salespeople. Like our parents have taught us to hate salespeople. Well, guess what? You're a salesperson. All right, so people hate you naturally. You need to get across the moat, and you do that by building rapport. All right, no rapport, the drawbridge doesn't come down. If you have good rapport, they lower the drawbridge, you get to come across the moat, and then you can maybe do your thing. All right. So if you focus on the common behaviors, speech, energy, body language, your emotion, volume level, all that kind of stuff, that's a start. Okay. Other commonality, you can focus on commonalities. And again, you have to be careful with what kind of person, if you need to take the personality profiling class to really understand what you're dealing with. But by sharing some common experiences is another way to build rapport. Being empathetic, right? It's hard to build rapport with someone if you don't show empathy to their situation. Everybody understand what that is? That means you have a sincere understanding of what they're going through. Okay. Couple other things I wrote down. If you can appeal to their subconscious, okay, if you can appeal to their subconscious, they're going to feel more comfortable with you. All right. If you can appeal to the subconscious, they're going to feel more comfortable with you. Like I said before, think about personality types and think about personality profiling so you can know what people's turn-ons are, what their personality types, what their turn-ons are, and what their turn-offs are. And you can try to be more versatile in your behavior so that you can build rapport. And here's one thing that I've heard from several sources. When you're talking about this, your mindset going in is you have to have you ever heard of the term assumptive selling? Anybody ever heard that? So assumptive selling means a lot of things. You want to have the mindset that you're going to be able to make the sale. When you go in, you have that mindset. And so when you're talking about rapport, you want to have an assumptive mindset that the rapport is going to be there. If in your mind you're thinking, oh, this is never going to work and they're going to hate me and whatever. Oh, look, they have a Subaru. Everybody that drives a Subaru hates me and whatever it might be. If you have that mindset, it ain't going to work. But if you have the mindset that they're going to love me, everybody loves me. These people are going to want to work with me. we're gonna build rapport, then there's a good chance you might do it. Okay. So any questions on that? That's tip number one. Can you see the value of that? I mean, we're talking about fundamentals here, and that is our foundation. That is the foundation for building a business relationship, is building rapport. All right. Number two, energy. You were hoping it was, these are some kind of revolutionary skills that you've never heard of. Energy and having it. Okay. There's nothing more attractive in the world than energy. Okay. People are attracted to energy and they follow energy. I mean, how many great leaders, whether it be politically, militarily, whatever it is, how many of them are low energy people? And maybe there are some. I just don't want to follow them, and I don't consider them leaders. All right. Now you have to be careful. You don't want to be bouncing off the walls, but you need to have, one tip is you certainly want to start. We talked about mirroring and matching. You want to try to be on the same somewhat plane with the person you're talking to, but then you can lead people by amping up the energy and keeping it still in the same hemisphere, but by having energy, people are like, hey, this is a person that I want that can lead me to what I want to get. And in this case, that's buying a home or selling a home or whatever it is. Okay. So energy is attractive. I wrote not bouncing off the walls, but you can lead people with energy. So how come everybody is not energetic all the time? Why is that? Tell me a reason why somebody might not have energy.
They're tired.
Tired. Okay, that's like the number one thing, because they're tired. I mean, to me, that's such a lame ass excuse, because you control that in most cases. Now, if you're, well, I don't know if on your screen, but if you're Jake and you got like a baby, well, you don't have a baby yet, but you got a little girl at home and you got some variables, I mean, that can happen. I get that, right? But in many cases, why are you tired? Tell me in many cases, why is the person that I don't have any sympathy for, why are they tired?
Maybe just long days at work, family, not getting enough sleep.
Okay, not getting enough sleep is where I was going. And who makes that choice? Not every case, but in most cases, who makes that choice? Whoa, who makes that choice?
You do.
Did I scare you, Mara?
Not quite, but it was funny.
Yeah, you make that choice. I mean, again, if you got to work a second job and whatever, I get all that. But in most cases, right, you're the one who sits around and plays video games, or you're looking at Facebook, or you're doing some kind of BS versus saying, hey, I've got an important job and I'm going to do the right thing and be ready for that in the morning. Okay. So that means going to bed at a normal time, or at a reasonable time. And people don't make that decision because I guess they don't put the value on what they're doing. So if you were going to play in the Super Bowl, like last night I had dinner with Josh Wells. Okay. All right. Super Bowl champion, right? Do you think him and Tom Brady went out partying the night before the Super Bowl? I'm going to guess they did not. I didn't ask him that last night. But I mean, the preparation is so important. And part of that preparation is making sure you have the energy to do what you need to do. Okay. So find a way to have it. Number one, what could that mean? So let's just say that maybe we don't always naturally have it. How do you get it? All right. For me, one thing that works for me is music. It might not work for you, but it works for me. So if I listen to good music and I focus and I try to get all the BS out of my head, then that gives me some energy. Okay. Another thing that works for me, and I think would definitely work for you, exercise, right? If you're a slug all the time and you never move around, then like, I don't know enough about physiology, but like all the good stuff in your body is like gone, or it's not moving around. So you don't have endorphins and you don't have whatever the hell else you're supposed to have. And you're just not in it, right? It's going to be hard to be energetic without that. Okay. So exercise, what you eat. Okay. So I can tell you this, I'm no nutritionalist either, but I know that like if I go to the Shoney's lard bar for breakfast and really pile it in, that's probably not going to be the best pregame meal for me to have a productive day at work. All right. Like if my job was to be a professional napper, then maybe that's what I need to do. But that ain't what I need to do. So there's going to be certain things that you know that you can eat or drink that are going to help you with your energy level, and certain things that are going to hurt you with your energy level. For instance, if Big Z goes out tonight and drinks 14 green beers, tomorrow, what kind of energy level do you think he has? Probably not so good. Probably not so good. Okay. So you got to make some good decisions with your exercise, with your meals, and then with your mind. Does your mindset control your energy level? Yes, it does. If you hang around with negative people and you have a negative environment and you are just bound up in your head, it's very difficult to have high energy and have the energy that you're going to want to have to be successful in this business. All right. So you got to clean that up. Zig Ziglar says you got to, I can't remember the exact quote, but you got to stop the stinking thinking. Okay. This is going to be your key to success, or it's going to be your key to failure in this business. I can promise you that. All right. So things like visualizations. All right. This all sounds weird, like people are smoking weed in California and talking about this stuff, but this is good stuff. Okay. This is good stuff. So if you, for instance, if your job, if one of the reasons you got into this business was to improve your circumstances and situation in life, which that was my thing, right? I knew that I wanted to have access to things that I would never get in my previous career. All right. If you wanted to take your family on a trip to Hawaii, all right, and you can see that and you visualize your family on the beach in Hawaii, and you can see that and you can feel it. You can taste the surf, and you can feel the sun, and you can relate that to your job and this listing appointment or this buyer appointment. Then that's how you get energy. I mean, you can't help but be energized with that, right? You gotta say affirmations, and this is weird, but you can't. Naturally, your brain. So there's this is some real cognitive science right here. So there's a real phenomenon that's called the drunk monkey. You probably read about it in the Harvard Medical Journal. The drunk monkey. Imagine if you had a drunk monkey, like in this office right here. If there was a drunk monkey in here, what do you think that drunk monkey would be doing? He'd be going bananas. He'd be throwing stuff and stuff, hitting the walls and stuff like that all over the damn office. Well, that's what goes on in your brain naturally, okay? You have that, at least one, maybe two or three in your brain, and they are trying to rip down everything that you're doing. You're like, well, today I'm going to have a schedule, and I'm going to put this thing that says Power Hour on my door. And they're like, screw that, man. Get on the internet. Let's do some Facebook. Let's, do some other stuff. But the last thing we want to do is have a plan, because that sucks. That's stupid. That's the drunk monkey. You got to flush that sumbitch down the toilet. Get away from him, kill him, squash him, forget about PETA and kill the damn thing, right? That's got to go, okay? Because that's part of the key, that you don't have the energy to do what you need to do, all right? Lastly, the people you hang around. Like crabs in a bucket, that analogy, like one crab wants to get out of the bucket, the other one just grabs and pulls them back down. That's the problem with hanging around with negative people. It's really hard to do anything outstanding, and it's really hard to have energy when you know that you're just hanging around a bunch of losers. So sometimes it's hard to get away from that. You sort of identify with, look at the people you hang around with and see who's helping you and pushing you, and see who's maybe bringing you back, bringing you down. All right. And remember this, okay? Just like the Josh Wells analogy, a football game or a performance, your appointments and your daily activities, those are your performances. All right, you've heard me say this, those guys that are around me a lot, you've heard me say this all the time. It's showtime, man. I mean, you do all this stuff to promote yourself, and yet you don't behave like the person that you're promoting, right? So you need to realize that when you're around, it is showtime, and you better be on your game, because people are watching. Even when you don't see them watching you, it doesn't have to be a listing appointment. It doesn't have to be a face-to-face buyer appointment in the office. If you're just walking down the street and you're promoting yourself, there are people watching you and they're like, that doesn't look anything like the person that is being promoted. It's almost like I've never been on one of these dating sites, but I hear about this. Like, so you got this picture and some dude looks like, hey, and then you meet him and it's like, whoa, big fat little, it's not the same person, right? Well, that's all you're doing right now. So again, the energy level that you have, you got to have it all the time. You got to have it all the time. And if you don't feel energetic, if you're Tate and you've stayed up all night doing something and whatever, and you feel yucky, do what Tate does. Just fake it, right? You can decide to have it. I mean, if you're so tired that you can't even get your ass up off the floor, then you got a real problem, right? But you can always, if you want to do it, you can do it for a little while at least. So try that. All right, enough about energy. Point number 3. Any questions about energy? Anybody want to argue with me about that? All right. Number 3, confidence. Confidence. People, write this down for me. People will judge you. Oh, we're not supposed to judge people. Okay, well, people do it all the time. People will judge you more on what you're being. People will judge you more on what you're being than what you actually are or what you are saying. People will judge you more on what you're being than what you actually are or what you are saying. And then, so once you write that down, I'll explain that. So what that means is the perception of who you are to the outside world is much more important than what you actually are. Does that, everybody get that? If you don't get that, go like this and I'll try to explain it. So for instance, when you watch a great actor or actress perform, are you ever thinking about who they really are versus who you're perceiving them to be? You get that? So if somebody's really good, like I use the example of like an old, this guy's dead, but Marlon Brando as the Godfather. Like, when I watch that, he is the Godfather. it would be weird to meet him in person if he's not really the Godfather. I'd be like, be the Godfather. That's who you really are. Well, that's because that person Marlon Brando was so confident with that role that he totally embodied that and internalized that role to where everybody in the world thinks he really is the Godfather. Get that? Okay. So if people are going to judge you on what you're being or what you're playing, and you're playing salesperson, okay, versus what you really are and what you're saying, not to de-emphasize learning scripts and knowing what to say and making sense with what you say, but how you say it and the confidence level that you have behind what you say is much more important than the actual words. Okay, believe me on that. It's much more important than what your actual words are. Okay, and because everyone in this business is basically going to say the same thing, right? Oh, I'm the greatest. I can get it done. I'm awesome, or whatever it is. Okay, maybe a variation of that, but I'm a good real estate agent and I'm going to help you. Okay, right? How back to how much energy you have in that. How about the rapport that you've built with that and the confidence that's behind it? That's the difference. How about this? Oh, I guess maybe, probably, maybe we could sell the house. Maybe. What do you think? That's no good. You're a leader. You're trying to lead people to the promised land, and you need to have that kind of confidence. All right. Separate yourself with your confidence level. How do you do that? Well, if you believe in you, they will too. Okay, that's here. That's the drunk monkey again. Because what's the drunk monkey telling you? You suck. You've only been in this for a year. Maybe you should go work at McDonald's. whatever. You can't have that. Somehow you got to figure out how to get that out. Okay. You got to get rid of that. All right. So if you believe in you, they will too. Might want to write that little thing down. That was an affirmation that I had for many years. But the opposite is true as well. If you don't believe in you, do you think they're going to believe in you? No, they're not. They're not. So you have to flush out that stinking thinking that Zig Ziglar was talking about. So how do you exude confidence? Jake, yeah. Well, never mind. We'll Craig, tell him about what exude means. All right. So your tonality. Okay. We've talked about downswings. Very confident speech pattern, downswings versus upswings. I'm very confident. I'm the best. Follow me, I'll get it done. Follow me, I'll get it done. I'm the best. You can count on me. You see the difference in that? It's huge. It's like, how many of you have seen Star Wars? And please tell me that everybody here has. Okay, that should be a freaking requirement before we even hire somebody in Hometown Realty, because you can learn a lot from Star Wars. So there's a thing called the Jedi mind trick. Tonality and ending on downswings is almost like as good as the Jedi mind trick. So it's like, oh, these aren't wait a minute, they're like looking, they drive the land speeder thing into town or whatever, and the stormtroopers are looking for R2-D2 and C-3PO, and they come up there because they're sure they found them, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi is like, these aren't the droids you're looking for. And they're like, oh, these aren't the droids we're looking for. That's the Jedi mind trick, right? So that's, you can do some stuff with your tonality that is pretty powerful, okay? Looking at people in the eye, right? Again, yeah, are there cultures where that's not cool and whatever else? Maybe so, but your eyes are going to be a big key, and their eyes are going to be a big key into the confidence level. People that can't ever look you in the face and never look you in the eye are not generally perceived as being very confident. So that's a key there. Your attire, you can wear, and that's a choice that you guys get to make every day. What you put on your body, people will judge you by that. And it's, again, think about going to the doctor. So you go to the doctor, and ladies, what that looks like, and guys, you're there, and I mean, if some dude just shows up with like cut off shorts and like a tank top, says, all right, I'm putting on the glove, bend over, are you going to go for that? No way. But I mean, really, like in today's doctor world, I mean, how do you really know? I mean, hold on one second, let me see that diploma real quick, and you got any kind of licensing information or anything? I mean, if they got the lab coat and the stethoscope and, like the name and script embroidered on the lab coat, I mean, here we go. Woo! I mean, that's it. So it's the same with you. If you look like you are going to the Grateful Dead concert, people might not be all that excited about listing their home with you. Okay. Unless they're deadheads. I mean, that's fine. Okay. So, so your attire, your competency, that's the thing you can control that will give you confidence. If you don't know anything about the market, then you're not going to be all that confident when people ask you about questions about the market. Okay. You need to learn that stuff. If you're not from here and you don't know how to get to Mechanicsville, or you don't know how to get to Chesterfield, or you never even heard of the James River, maybe you should get to learn some of that stuff and become more competent, so you can develop confidence, right? The other one is objection handling skills. All right. Without having a general knowledge of how to handle objections in real estate, it's very difficult to have any confidence, because you fear setting appointments, and you fear having actual real estate conversations, because an objection might come up and you're going to sound like a dumbass when you don't know how to handle it. That's a huge problem, and that flunks a lot of people out of real estate. Okay, they just don't have any. What if they say you're too new? What if they say you're not even 30 years old? I'm only 25. I can't do it. Tough shit. Get over that. Figure out some answers for it. Practice those things, and then be confident about it. the crazy thing is, this is sort of a Jedi mind trick thing too, is once you learn how to really handle objections, they don't come up. They never come up because people think, gee, that's something that's really got it together. I'm not even going to ask any questions. Let's just do it, right? The reason they ask questions is because they sense, and they have objections, is they sense that you're not confident. They're like, I'm going to test this person to make sure they're not a total slap, right? Okay, so more about confidence. Here's one way to sort of test yourself. Assume that people can see into your subconscious mind and know what you're thinking, that they can hear your self-talk. So if I could hear your self-talk, Chelsea, while you're driving down the road, don't crash. If I could hear your self-talk, would I want to list with you? Would I consider you to be a confident person? I don't know, but that's, you understand what I'm saying? If you're if everything in your head is negative, 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 not confident, then people will be like, get out of here. I'll go to the next person. But if they could hear that powerful dialogues that are going in through your head, that you know you're the best, and you know you're out here to try to help people, and you know you can do a good job, and you know you can get it sold and get these people what they want, then they'd be, hell yeah, I want to work with you. Okay, so assume they have a direct line and can hear and see what's going on in your subconscious mind. And then lastly, I wrote down, if you don't feel confident, then the only way to do it is learn to be a great faker. Okay, so if you don't feel confident, just fake it all the time, and guess what happens then? Then you're acting so confident that you really are. All right, any questions about confidence? We're on a roll now, man. This is great. Everybody enjoying this? If you're not, you can leave. All right. Not really. Don't leave. Don't leave. I love you so much. Don't tell Mike that I told you to leave the class. All right. The next one is persistence. That's number 4. We have 7 of these. Persistence. All right. Persistence is the key to your business efficiency. All right. Without being persistent, all you're ever going to find in business are the easy, say yes, layup kind of people. All right. And there are some of those. Most people don't just fall in your lap. They're not layups. You've got to do some work. You've got to be persistent with your follow-up. You've got to be persistent with your research. You've got to do something to earn their business. All right. So you've got to understand this. We have this mindset here with persistence. Because some people, one of the things that people tell me about, well, I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to bug them. Okay. With the mindset of these people are motivated to buy or sell real estate, and I know that I am the best at that. And I know that I am going to be able to help these people with that. And I'm going to save them from the dishonest and from the incompetent that are out there if I am persistent and I convince them to work with me. I wrote down a quote here. My job is not to convince people to buy or sell real estate. That's not my job. Do you understand that? Your job is not to swindle people into buying or selling real estate. We never want to do that. Your job is to find motivated people and convince them to do it with you. Okay, that's your job, right? Not to convince them to buy or sell. So what you're doing here, if you've got somebody who you think is motivated, you need to keep giving them information and show them value so that they will want to choose you. And again, there is a big difference between being persistent and being a total pain in the ass, right? But persistence is going to be the key, and you're going to need to talk to them several times, and you might even need to hear no a few times and try to move through that and help them move beyond that to see what's happening. And if you keep getting no's, then you need to learn, maybe you need to look internally and say, what am I doing that is keeping me from being the one that they choose? Okay. That's persistence. See what else I wrote down here. I wrote down, save them from the dishonest and the incompetence. I think I said that before, but if you have that in your head, that's a good way to motivate yourself to keep moving forward with persistence. The easiest way out of this business, this is really, really important. Pay attention to this. The easiest way out of this business is to just quit. Okay. And that's what I've seen so many people do over and over again. And I think some people just aren't going to get it, right? There's just some people that are not cut out for this business, and they're not willing to do the things they need to do to be successful. And so it's unfortunate, but they're gone. All right. But there are a lot of people that quit because they build a pattern of quitting, like with a prospect. They didn't say yes, so I quit. And quitting and quitting and quitting. Like my kids growing up, I mean, maybe I'm just old school, but we ain't quitting anything. You start something, you finish it, right? That's just how it works. All right. I think that's a foreign concept today, but you start it, you finish it. Maura, I know your dad well enough to know that that is a very big, long trait, right? That you don't come home and say that, right? So, because you develop a habit of quitting, then you become a quitter. And then ultimately when it gets tough, you're out. So you got to stay persistent overall in real estate, not just with the individual clients, but maybe there's a month where things don't go too well for you. Again, 26 years, how many months is that? 12 times 26 is what? I was a history major. Let's do it on the calculator. That's 312 months. Guess what? I've had some months that were sucked, right? Did I quit? No, because I knew that if this month sucked, that means I'm just one step closer to getting to a great month. Okay. So there'll be ups and downs. You got to be persistent in all things when you're talking about being a salesperson, especially in real estate. All right. Any questions about that? I must be doing a great job. All right. Number 5. Here's one that I need to work on, and you do too. Listening skills. Just ask my wife, she'll tell you. Listening skills. All right, this is maybe the most important thing that we've talked about here, and I didn't think of it until I'd already written down the other one, so I couldn't change the order too easily. I wrote down, I'll just read you what I wrote down. I said listening skills, maybe the most important of everything on this list. Most people suck at this. Right? Would you agree with that? I mean, there's some people that are great listeners. I don't know that many. Okay. What we got to do is we have to take the focus off ourselves and put it on them, especially in a selling situation. The focus cannot be on you. It's got to be on them. And the only way we do that is to listen, All right. Why don't we listen? Because we don't really know what to say. And so in those situations, we just talk. We just ramble. Because if I'm talking, you really can't say anything, and then therefore I can't be all that uncomfortable. All right. But does that put the focus on them? Absolutely not. All right. You need to truly be interested in what people are saying. You need to truly hear what they're saying. You need to internalize and listen to what they're saying. Okay. And the way you do that is you are confident in what you say. You have a questions-based sort of presentation, your scripts, which we don't like that term, your dialogues, whatever you want to call it, whatever you're saying needs to be questions-based, because when it's questions-based, what does that facilitate? When you ask questions, what happens then? Somebody tell me.
Answer.
They have to answer, and therefore do what? How do they answer?
They have to talk.
They got to talk. They got to talk. And when they talk, what happens?
Information comes out and you listen.
Information comes out. You learn about them. There's an old, a lot of you probably never even turned on a real radio, but there's most radio stations have call letters. And, so like in Richmond, we had WRXL, that's XL 102, and you had WRVA, and I guess they're still around. So there's an old sort of adage in sales and in communication says, what is everyone's favorite radio station? And that's WIFM. What's in it for me? That's what everybody wants to listen to, right? They want to talk about them. They want to talk about their kids. They want to be around people that are truly interested in what's going on in their lives and care and are empathetic about what they do. So listening skills certainly goes back to point number 1, where you can build rapport. So if you can internalize what you're going to say, then you're not worried about the next line or the next question. So you ever been in that kind of conversation? You can just tell somebody's just thinking about what they have to say next, so they're not listening to you at all. All right. Yet if they know what they're going to say, then they can listen to you. And the next question really comes from really what you said. They're clarifying. They're wanting more detail. They're going to dig deeper. And that makes sense and usually leads to a better relationship when it comes to selling. Little tip here, just the rest of the day, tomorrow, pay attention to the percentage of time that you talk versus people around you are talking. And in certain situations, certain personality types aren't going to talk as much. If you find yourself being in the 80s and 90%, then maybe you need to reevaluate this and see where you are and improve your listening skills and improve your ability to ask questions. Okay. All right, moving on. Number 6, second to the last point, acknowledgement and approval. It's sort of part of listening skills. Again, most of us are too busy thinking about ourselves to really acknowledge and really approve of other people. Again, what's everybody's favorite station? WIFM. If Tate does something great and I applaud him and I praise him and we talk about that and I'm interested in that, man, then you talk about building rapport and getting inside the moat and just having a great sales-based relationship, whatever else, that is one of the keys. All right. I wrote down, if you do this, they will naturally want to reciprocate. Okay, so if you're interested in them, they're going to be interested in you. If you care about them, they're going to care about you. And that just leads us down the path to working together. Okay, and that foundation is built on trust and built on rapport and built on all the good stuff that I think leads to a much more enjoyable sales process and usually more successful. And to the contrary, if you're agreeing and approving and supporting these people, they're not going to want to disagree and battle you, right? Which sometimes these sales and listing and selling houses can be a battle. And it just doesn't need to be that way all the time. So one thing I wrote down that you need to put a little star beside is you need to do this with sincerity. Okay. Now, and let's just say this, as much sincerity as possible, because there'll be times when you just really don't want to hear about how the dog, went to the bathroom and how all this other stuff, and some people just want to tell you all sorts of stuff, but you have to try to get into their world and understand that's important to them. All right. Last one. That was my phone. Last one, practice. Okay, practice. What's my Allen Iverson? What are we talking about? Practice? All right. I wrote this is shocking, okay? But it's so true. Without practice, we cannot develop or improve any of these skills that we've talked about. All right? Because face it, we're not naturals. You may be a natural at maybe one of them, but really you're not that good, okay? Without practice, we cannot develop or improve any of these skills. And if you never practice, you're never going to reach your full potential. That should scare the crap out of you. Okay? Because what is your full potential here? I mean, the opportunity that you have in the real estate business is unfrickin' believable. I mean, you can do, the sky is the limit. I mean, you see them right around you. There are people in this office and you're wherever you are that make so much money and their lives are, and not that money's everything, but their lives have been improved so much. They do so many good things for people. They have so much fun. It is almost too good to be true. The opportunity we have in this business. Thank God that my college buddy, Mike Chenault, convinced me to get into this business. Thank God. If you see Mike, thank him for me. All right. Because he's the reason I'm here. But if you never practice, you'll never get to where you could go. You don't want to be, did you get into this? I want to be a good real estate agent. I want to be good. You want to be great? No. Good. Good is fine. And that doesn't necessarily mean you need to be the #1 agent, but wouldn't you want to be as good as you can be? And then you can decide how much you want to throttle it up or back as far as the quantity of business you're going to do. I mean, here's Mara. You know, she's pretty new, maybe one of the newer ones in this group here. You know, do you want to be, you just want to be average? Hell no. No. I mean, I love watching people that come in and they do what it takes to be great. Okay. Practice is part of it. No one that's any good at anything, right? Do you think, for instance, like, well, you pick anything. I mean, if you're going to be a good surgeon, do you think people just like, oh, you know, they just cut, look, there's the heart. That's pretty, look, oh, there's an aorta. I can do, you got to learn about all that crap. You got to practice it. You got to watch it. You got to do it. You got to see it. You know, you got to go with other people and learn. Okay. That's just sort of missing in what we do here. All right. So, you know, to use my own personal experience, I had no idea what these skills were and what was necessary when I first got in the business. There wasn't any that we didn't have Zoom meetings. We didn't even have training. There was no training within companies in real estate. But I quickly got exposed to Mike Ferry, and that's what the best agents were doing. I knew that I was sort of dumb and had no idea what was going on. And I went and watched the best people. And I'm like, if they're that good, I'm going to do what they do. And maybe I can be that good. Right. So I learned the scripts. I practiced the scripts. I sat down and I role played listing appointments. There was a guy that used to work here named Carl Granderson. Right. And Carl Granderson and I would go eat lunch. And we would drive, we would intentionally not just go right down the road. We would drive a long way and we would fight each other with objection handling the entire way there and the entire way back. Okay. Just to practice handling objections. And we just pick one and we would just role play it the whole time. And that sounds stupid, but it's worked pretty good for me. All right. So again, if you never practice, you're never going to realize your full potential. And just imagine what you'll be missing out on if you don't, you know. I think that all of you that are here have tremendous potential. I feel it's like the Geico commercial. No, I really do. I mean, you guys are dedicated to doing this. I mean, I don't know if Big Z is still here. He's muted and all we got is his picture there. But, you know, here's a guy that came in and actually listened to me. All right. He really did. You know, and I know that a lot of the stuff that I had to tell him, if there's an agent in Hometown Realty that I have been brutally honest with, it's him. Right? And some of that I know he didn't want to hear, and some of that he probably walked away and said that guy's a total jerk at the time. But I think I've been very honest with him, and I think it has helped him to get to where he wants to go. And one of the things we talked about was his articulation and sales talk needed overhaul. All right. And I told him to listen to Cameron Wood. I told him to listen to me. I told him to listen to other people and try to emulate what they say. And damn if he didn't do it. Do I need work today? Heck yeah. I'm nowhere near my full potential. Does he need work? Yes, he does. The only way we can get better is to actually realize that and then understand that we need to practice some. So, in general, and then I'll open this up for questions. So the common mistake that all you guys make is rather than wanting to focus on this kind of crap, the fundamentals, what you want to do is you want to chase the shiny object. Oh, that's bullshit. I'm going to go, oh, there's this website, man, that's the thing. That is the ticket, baby. Okay, and there's more shiny stuff now than there ever has been, but there was shiny stuff back in the day. When I got in the business, I remember talking to this agent, right? And there was this thing called the talking house. Any of y'all know what the talking house is? So the talking house was like a AM radio transmitter, right? So you put this, when you have a listing, you put the talking house thing like on the sign, and it has a thing like tune in to AM 750 for the talking house. And then it was like a 30-second recording, and it was horrible. You couldn't hardly, it'd be like, oh, this is the greatest house. It has 4 bedrooms. And I remember this guy was like, that's going to change my business, man. I'm all in on the talking house. People are going to love that crap. I don't even remember the guy's name because he's been gone out of the business for so long, right? the stuff we just went over, that's the deal. If you can master all of that and then bring in some expertise and learn, there's other things you need to learn too. But if you can have these fundamentals, then maybe there are some cool things. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with technology, yet this has got to be the foundation. The other stuff is sort of ancillary stuff that can help you and polish the outside of it. But if you have this solid base, then you can build on that with some of that other stuff. Does that make sense? All right, does anybody have any questions? We went 11 minutes longer than I thought. Nobody has any questions. All right, well, without further ado, thank you for your time. I hope that if you have questions, you'll call me. My number is 244-1022. For those of you listening and looking worldwide, that's 804 in the USA, 244-1022. And we'll talk to you real soon. Thanks.